Hey, how you doing? We got some real freaky stories for you. They're what you could call snazzy, which is how some people look. Oh, here comes an example about which I am talking.
Hey, Babs! Sit, take a load off. Love your hat.
Thanks. Hats are coming back.
Everything comes back. Pity, huh? See what I mean? Fashion. The dumbest thing ever invented by you-know-who. Right. Man. Oh, the same man that invented atomic waste, oatmeal, and disco music also invented spike heels and the bolo tie. And now they want you to look like those supermodels. Oh, man. If they're so super, how come they can't afford a decent meal, huh? I hate fashion.
I want you to give me a makeover.
Who could resist the challenge? Right after this freaky story.
This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. I was Miss Alabaster, 1943. My grandmother was Miss S1E, 1918, and all of my girls hold crowns, too. But this girl, Anne-Marie, took the whole thing to an extreme. It takes a lot to make a runway champion. Hard work, good grooming, excellent smiles, and good old-fashioned desire to win. And Anne-Marie had all this and more. She tripped another toddler to grab Miss Toddle Tots, 83. She stole another girl's gown to win Miss Junior Missy, 88. She'd do anything to get the satin sash, but mostly, she'd diet. Beauty queens tend to be on the slim side, that's true, but Anne-Marie nearly starved herself to death. She'd eat half a grape for breakfast and smell of tuna melt for lunch. Anne-Marie insisted she needed to lose at least another 5 pounds for the pageant. So Anne-Marie did what any mother warned against and started popping diet pills. And not just any diet pills, mind you. They were the real black market kind. You know, lose 10 pounds in 10 days, no exercise, no diet. Each pill was a weird yellow capsule the size of your thumb. It was kind of squishy, with little holes in it, but Anne-Marie didn't care. She'd win them crown if it killed her. She started on 3 pills a day and followed the instructions, which said not to drink any liquids. In 4 days, she lost the 5 pounds she wanted and hardly felt sick. Oh, sure, she was thirsty, but so what? If she lost another 5, she'd be a shoo-in, right? She started popping the pills 10 at a time and not a drop to drink. She was weak with sickness by pageant day. Everybody around her offered her food and water, but she refused. Her knees were wobbly and her head felt like she'd just been in a centrifuge. But once she hit the lights and saw the crowd, Anne-Marie walked the walk like a trooper. She was gorgeous and slim, really slim. Her mouth felt like the Sahara Desert, but all she had to do was hold on until she won. The whole audience roared in a unanimous decision. They rose in a standing ovation as she donned the crown and strolled down the runway. Anne-Marie was halfway through her victory walk when her nerves finally got the best of her, and she started to hiccup. One of the judges ran out with a cup of water, but Anne-Marie was not about to give in now. And as they were reading off all the prizes she won, the hiccuping got worse and worse. Anne-Marie had to try a sip of water, no matter what the instructions on the pill bottle said. But one taste of the water, and all resistance was gone. Anne-Marie gulped down cup after cup after cup. Too bad black market pills don't have to list their ingredients. If they did, this bottle would have said that the diet pills were actually micro sponges. And you know what sponges do when they soak up water. Anne-Marie blew up like a balloon. A water balloon. Every part, her dress zipper, every clasp, every button gave way as the tiny sponges inside her body soaked up the water. The embarrassed Miss Total Universe managed a few waddles and then rolled the rest of the way into the wings. Yes, it was a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. And Marie still tours the pageants, but now she hits the gym instead of the pharmacy. She's pumping up to be the next Miss Mighty Muscles.
Ready? Here we go. Our first makeover candidate. I feel so Sally Jesse Raphael. Here's Maurice.
That was yummy.
Roll it in, boys. Okay, that's just fine right there.
Wow, it looks great.
Yep. We're gonna start your makeover with the hair.
But I don't have any hair.
You could have fooled me. Duh. Now, I want you to stick that...
Face?
Yeah, well, if that's what you call it, right up in here. Go on. There.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Next.
Oh,
Go on. Okay.
too much hair.
No, too little hair.
Too little hair? What do you mean?
It's not covering your face. Bada boom. Next. Okay.
I look like a floor mat.
That would be an improvement. Next.
This I like. I think this works.
Nothing works. You're too disgusting.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay, Rosie, I'll have the diet special. I have to lose 6 pounds before Saturday.
We're gonna put you on a diet. You're not gonna wanna miss this.
This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. Her name was Cindy. Not only was she head cheerleader, class of '63, dating the captain of the football team and the prettiest girl at small town high, she had the biggest, blondest, baddest beehive hairdo anyone had ever seen. And every other girl at small town high was green with envy. Yeah, Cindy's life was pretty much perfect. Or so everyone thought. You see, keeping a beehive looking perfect was hard work. But the real problem was that Cindy was lazy. Instead of washing her hair and resetting it from scratch, she'd just shellac it with a complicated mixture of plutonium hydroxide and glue, then sealed it with a little hairspray. Her mother had warned her of the consequences of not washing her hair, but Cindy didn't listen. All that mattered to Cindy was that nobody could tell the difference, even after her hair began to take on the properties of tempered steel. Everything seemed fine until Cindy's senior year, when she began to get these headaches. These throbbing, pulsing, pounding headaches. But they would always pass. Besides, no headache was going to interfere with the goals Cindy had worked towards her entire high school career. To be crowned Miss Teen Queen 1963 at the small town high prom. Soon the most important night of Cindy's life had arrived. There she stood on the gymnasium stage, all eyes on her, as the Miss Teen Queen 63 crown was lowered onto that golden spire of hers. A hush fell over the crowd as Cindy stepped up to the microphone. Her headache had returned, and this time more painful than ever. She fell to the floor, writhing in agony, crying and pounding at her beehive, screaming, "Help! Make it stop! Make it stop!" Paramedics raced to the scene, but were unable to relieve the hysterical girl. Without a moment to spare, they rushed Cindy to the hospital. There, her beehive was immediately x-rayed to locate the problem. But to no avail. The rays couldn't penetrate that dew. "We've got to get inside that dew!" the doctor exclaimed. Regular surgical instruments just wouldn't cut it. Cindy's beehive had become an impenetrable block, heat-resistant and shatterproof. The doctor could see that Cindy couldn't take much more. So, as a last resort, he called for the experimental, high-speed, diamond-tipped XP9000 surgical saw. Stand back, he yelled, as the saw sliced through that beehive like a hot knife through butter. Her solidified tresses crashed to the floor. Cindy's beehive was completely hollow. The surgical team peered in for a closer look. And what they saw then made their blood run cold. A sight so horrific, so terrifying that it is etched in their memories to this very day. Crawling out from the hollow center of Cindy's beehive were spiders. Hundreds of big, black, ugly, hairy spiders! Hey, it's a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. Oh, you still see Cindy around. She's easy to recognize. She's the one with the brush cut.
Hey, folks, let's see how Maurice is doing on his diet. Oh, Maurice, can't you cut down on food?
Larry, you know, I tried. I really tried. You know how smokers use the nicotine patch to stop?
You tried a food patch?
That's right. Yeah. I taped a piece of pork rind to my side.
Huh. Did it reduce your craving to eat?
Oh, yeah. Sure did. After I ate it.
We'll have to go with the sauna.
We have a sauna?
Oh, yeah. We have a pastrami steamer. Mm-hmm. Well, you just go.
Oh.
Go on, and I'll let you know when you're done. Right after this.
This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine, Godfrey. He's the butler at the other mansion on Snob Hill. Miss Emily, returning for a weekend holiday, brought with her torn blue jeans, chewing gum, and a young man. Yes, correct, a young man. I understand Madam, that would be Emily's mother, was obliged to take to her room, feeling faint and disoriented. Emily's father called his physician to have his blood pressure checked, fearing an impending apoplectic fit. You see, the young man, named Charles, had absolutely no pedigree at all, and he was quite aware of the consternation he had wrought upon the folks on Snob Hill. Graciously, he offered to leave. But Miss Emily insisted he stay, fully convinced Charles could fit right in, if he really tried. So the chap placed a phone call to inform his parents of his plans. They were not home, so he left a message on their answer machine. If his parents had been at home, Charles would have been spared the most embarrassing experience of his young life. Well, this Charles fellow was quite infatuated with Miss Emily. He would do just about anything to impress her parents. And Miss Emily was determined to have the young man overcome the objections of her family. Unbeknownst to her parents, she slipped into their quarters and took one of her father's dinner jackets. And Charles did look quite presentable. Except his fly was open. As they all entered the dining room, Godfrey stood his post by the door, and upon spying the young unzipper, he attempted to signal the young man. He raised an eyebrow and lowered his eyes. Charles assumed Godfrey was being friendly, so he wiggled his eyebrows, thinking he was returning the greeting. The dinner chat seemed to move along without any major disturbance. Charles was questioned about his future, which had something to do with saving rainforests and so on. He was asked about his family and its lineage. His story had something to do with his ancestors coming to the country on a freight boat, working hard, other things with which Miss Emily's family was not familiar. Godfrey was impressed with the young man's spunk and fortitude, enduring the questioning and never faltering. So Godfrey, simply trying to be helpful, mind you, seized an opportunity to tell Charles about the zipper problem while he was dispensing the soup. He leaned over, wielding the ladle and tureen in a most professional manner, yet able to whisper in Charles's ear, "Your fly, sir, is open." And with the most subtle of moves, Charles managed to zip out his fly without anyone at the table noticing. And as the meal wound down to its conclusion and the creme brulee was being served by cook, Godfrey informed Charles he had a phone call. His mother, having received his message, was on the line. Charles excused himself, rose from the table, and started toward the dining room doors, taking the tablecloth with him, and with the tablecloth all the china, silverware, and crystal, not to mention the creme brulee. The young man, much to his chagrin, had caught the tablecloth in his zipper. Creme brulee here, creme brulee there, creme brulee everywhere. Ah, that was a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. And Charles has never returned to Snob Hill, even though all his pants these days have a button fly.
Tick-tock, tick-tock, bumpy lock, tick-tock,
I was in the steamer taking a nap on the pastrami when Ted decides that he needs it finished right away.
Oh, no. He didn't. Not
The microwave!
You were zapped.
12 minutes on high.
But you look okay, considering you're you.
Oh, yeah? You think I look okay?
Yeah.
Watch this.
Oh.
Hey, Rosie!
It happens when Ted uses the electric fryer and the hairdryer at the same time.
Maurice, you look better already. And folks, if you think this is freaky, just take a look at our next freaky story.
This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine, Janice. She's so cool, and she loved clothes.
Wow.
She had different outfits for different classes. Loungewear for study hall, cruise wear for school trips, and her Paris collection for French class. Nobody could keep up with her wardrobe until Tessa showed up at school. Tessa had even more clothes than Janice. It didn't take long for the clothes rivalry to be established. Kids waited every day to see what each of them was wearing. And one day, they both showed up at school wearing the same outfit. Their eyes locked, they just stared. And then they walked towards each other, like gunfighters in a cowboy movie, only much better dressed. One of them was going to pay. Tessa reached out and pulled a loose thread off Janice's top. And then Janice reached over and pulled a loose thread off Tessa's top and said, "Nice outfit." And Tessa said, "Nice outfit." And they just walked past each other like nothing happened. Things were different from that day on. It was now an all-out fashion battle. It was blouses, vests, tank tops, bell-bottoms, high heels, low heels, strapless, backless, thigh-high, ankle-length war. But that was nothing compared to what happened the day one of those TV fashion shows was coming to our school to do a story about high school fashion. Janice was going to go to a dressmaker and have a special gown made practically the night before. No chance that something like that could get copied. And it was a great plan too. Except Tessa had the same plan. The day before the TV crew showed up, she ended up at the same dressmaker who was just basting Janice's dress. When Tessa saw that dress, she had to have it. She offered the dressmaker more than 5 times what Janice paid. So naturally, the dressmaker took it. She didn't know anything about Tess and Janice's feud. The poor dressmaker got back to basting the dress when Janice came in and snatched it away from her. She begged Janice to give her another hour because she still had to sew it. No way. By that time, Tessa would have stepped before the camera, and Janice wasn't going to allow herself to be scooped. Not on TV, that's for sure. So there was the whole school in the auditorium. The TV crew showed up. Lights, camera, a reporter, all ready to go. The reporter called out, "Roll tape!" Suddenly, from the rear entrance, Janice emerged. And at that exact same time, Tessa came in from the hall. Both girls were wearing coats. Step by step, inch by inch, until they were standing nose to nose in the center of the stage. As if on cue, each unbuttoned her coat, and with a lightning-fast movement, they were off. A gasp went through the crowd. They were were both wearing the same dress. It was clear that something had to give. Would they scratch each other's eyes out on national TV? Then, as if on cue, Tessa reached over to Janice's shoulder, and Janice reached for Tessa's. It was going to get physical, but no. Each simply grabbed at a loose thread hanging off each other's dress. Still smiling, they each said, "Nice outfit," and tugged at the thread. And with that casual pull, the stitches in both dresses unraveled, and Tessa and Janice were left holding long pieces of thread, while their dresses lay in pieces on the floor. This is a true story. Happened to friends of a friend of mine, Tessa and Janice. You know, the grungers who now wear the same overalls and trips to school every day.
Fortunately, I myself don't need any improvement. I mean, oh, look at those eyes, eh? I mean, exquisite. And that nose, a classic. Yep, all in all, I am really quite ugly.